Hello and welcome back to Chiefsman's Corner. Unfortunately, this is not a live broadcast as I won't be able to do the podcast live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. However, this will be up at the normal 9 p.m. Eastern time slot, and I will try like hell to be online and available to answer comments to those watching the premiere. I'm your host, one of the leadership team of the WFL, Coach Winuvas of the Detroit Lions. The first time I've been able to say that on the show. This show format doesn't change much from normal. We'll discuss Week 3 games, players of the podcast from Week 2 games, and end off with our Ask the Chief segment. If anyone is tuned in during the premiere, welcome aboard, and thanks for listening. You can comment in the YouTube chat, and hopefully I will be online to respond to any comments. If you're watching the recording of this, however, we still thank you for watching. Any and all support is appreciated. Without you guys, the WFL doesn't exist. For housekeeping notes, first thing I want to talk about is, as always, the WFL's incentive plan. This plan allows you to get some perks that aren't available for every member simply by doing some extracurricular activities that involve WFL. Anything from Twitter to articles on the Neon Sports site to commenting or participating in the show, even chatting in Discord can earn you points. Anything that makes the WFL a more immersive experience and increases its presence in the Madden community can earn you some sort of credit. Link to the incentive plan and all the perks are available using the command /incentive plan in Discord. That is all one word, /incentive plan in Discord. The next thing to talk about, as always, is our Ask the Chief form. Use this form during the week between episodes to submit any questions you have for me, and I'll answer them during the show, giving you credit for the question. It's an easy way to build up incentive points and provide extra content for the podcast. Use the command /AskTheChief to pull up the form in Discord. That is all one word, /AskTheChief, to pull up the form in Discord. We are still efforting to get a few owners for our Seahawks, Patriots, and Jaguars teams. We've had some good luck getting owners for the Browns and for the Cardinals. If you know of any owners that would be a good fit, please send them an invite to the Discord chat so we can get them full. It can also mean incentive points for you if they stick it out throughout the season. With the housekeeping out of the way, let's recap the scores from Week 3 action and highlight our offensive and defensive players of the podcast from Week 2. All right, in our Week 3 action, we have games completed. As of this point, we have the Atlanta Falcons 28-17 winners over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta notches their first win of the season, moving to 1-2, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, struggling without Tom Brady, move to 1-2 on the young season. The Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills have, as of yet, not played. They are playing as I record this podcast. Cincinnati overtakes the Las Vegas Raiders 34-14 is your final. Cincinnati moves to 2-1. The Las Vegas Raiders fall to 0-3. 32-24 is your final between two brand new owners, the Arizona Cardinals and the Cleveland Browns. We just recently filled these openings, and lo and behold, they play each other. And Arizona notches their first win of the year, and Cleveland falls to 1-2 on the season. Jacksonville and Houston will be played later tonight per Houston. Tennessee getting beat down by the Indianapolis Colts, who have something to prove apparently. They also beat the Baltimore Ravens 52-7. So apparently, since some chatter in the general chat about the Chargers giving a joke rating of 32 in the power rankings against the Indianapolis Colts, I think Juke is taking that a little personally. He's taking it out on any opponents he finds. 37-3 your final here. Indianapolis moves to 2-1. Tennessee falls to 0-3. Your undefeated New York Jets with Lamar Jackson at the helm win 31-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles, who fall to 0-3 on this young season. New York Giants are beaten by the Los Angeles Rams 31-13 your final there. Los Angeles notches their first win of the season, and New York falls to 2-1. Denver Broncos overcome the CPU New England Patriots 28-12 your final there. Denver moves to a fresh 3-0 record on the season. New England's record is 1-2. The Green Bay Packers keep their undefeated hopes alive as well with a 38-15 win over the Los Angeles Chargers, who notched their first loss of the season at 2-1 on the young season. Kansas City having a rough go of it so far. Kansas City falls to 0-3 on the season with a 36-19 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, a bit of a surprise here with Coach Polio. 3-0 on the young season and leading the NFC North just like Rimster was last year. Maybe he's inherited some of that Rimster offensive prowess. Carolina moves to 2-1 on the season with a 24-13 win over the Chicago Bears, who fall to 1-2 on the season. In a CPU game, I cannot take credit for this win. The Detroit Lions notched their first win of the season, 29-26 over the New Orleans Saints, who fall to 2-1. That was a CPU contest. Baltimore and Pittsburgh yet to be scheduled and played. Dallas and San Francisco hopefully will get played tonight. And the final game of Week 3, the Washington Commanders are undefeated, and they are beating soundly the Seattle Seahawks, who fall to 0-3 on the year, 21-16. The newly opened Seattle Seahawks fall to 0-3 and at the bottom of the NFC West, while Washington takes a lead in the NFC East. And now we'll move on to go ahead and get back on camera here as I introduce the players of the podcast for Week 2 action. This is not for Week 3 action. Offensive player of the podcast this week. Like to try and introduce new guys when I can. And Chargers halfback Austin Eckler was massive in Week 2. 21 carries, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and a 35-24 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. A good divisional win against a solid divisional opponent that was in the playoff race last year. Defensive player of the podcast. Unfortunately, I had to call upon this one because when you get 2.5 sacks in a game, or 1.5 sacks in a game, 2 tackles, we're going to call that out because sacks have been kind of at a premium, it seems like. Giants defensive end Leonard Williams, 2 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a 37-17 win over the Dallas Cowboys. That is my defensive player of the podcast for Week 2. And now we're going to move on to the Ask the Chief segment. Let me pull it up right here on screen. Let me get it up. Let me get it zoomed in here so everybody can see all these questions. All right, let me get it pulled up here. Boom, there we go. All right, so Kobe asked, 3 games in the season, who are your top 5 teams in each conference? All right, so let's start with the AFC. And I'm going to start with the AFC, and this is in no particular order. I want to emphasize that because this is not number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. I'm picking the top 5. I'm not saying who's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. My top picks, top 5 in the AFC, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, and the Indianapolis Colts. Again, that's in no particular order, and a lot of it can be attributed to the Miami Dolphins are always a tough out with Coach Ross. The Jets inherited or got Lamar Jackson as a gift from the Seattle Seahawks, and really, I think, is winning that trade. I think they enjoy the new offensive setup with Lamar Jackson. The Houston Texans improved massively on the defensive line and improved massively a team that was lacking talent last year and took them into, I do believe they got either into the wild card round or divisional playoff round. Either way, they did make the playoffs, and this team just got mounds better with a defensive front that includes Montez Sweat, includes Khalil Mack, includes Deron Payne. That front four can get after any guy, any quarterback in the league, any offensive line. So Houston Texans are definitely a force to be reckoned with. Denver Broncos, main reason, Rimster. Taking over that team and taking over Russell Wilson in his good form, not in the current NFL form. I like Denver and I like what they're doing. Jerry Jeudy's going to be a force out there. He's going to be just like Justin Jefferson was for Rimster last year. He'll be a Player of the Year candidate, I feel like, in the AFC. Jerry Jeudy will. And then finally, the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Chargers have lit a fire under Juke. And I think Juke mad and Juke running the ball with Jonathan Taylor is not good for the rest of the league. Look out. The Colts are looking to prove something. They came as the runner-up last year for the Super Bowl. I don't see them being the runner-up this year if they keep playing like they've been playing. They have been whipping opponents left and right, and woe be to anyone who stands in their way. In the NFC, a little bit of an easier call here. Mostly teams that have one loss or are undefeated. Packers, Green Bay Packers, Washington Commanders, New York Giants, Carolina Panthers, and Minnesota Vikings. Vikings being the surprise one there. No offense to Polio, he will be the first to say this. He's not the greatest user, but he's having a really good start, and I think he's clicking right now with that offense the way it's built up and established. I think he's really enjoying it right now, and it always helps to have your favorite team. You tend to get a little bit more motivated and enjoy games a little bit more. So that can explain his hot start. Carolina Panthers, Ruffles is a tough out every game. New York Giants, Cly he's a guy that quietly wins 12 or 13 games and nobody talks about it. Washington Commanders, Waffles is always a tough play. And the Green Bay Packers, Meek Boy, as the WFL Bowl 1 champ. I think he's a little mad he didn't make WFL Bowl 2, and I think he's looking to make WFL Bowl 3 as an NFC representative. He's looking to make folks pay for losing out in the playoffs, so look out for the Packers. Look out for any of those teams in the NFC. The NFC and the AFC are both stacked with at least 6 to 8 good users per conference, which is lowly for us folks like myself that aren't great users. But yeah, those are my 5 picks for AFC and NFC. AFC again, Dolphins, Jets, Texans, Broncos, Colts. Again, no particular order. And the NFC, Green Bay, Washington, New York, the Giants, Panthers, and Vikings are my top 5 in the NFC. And that's from Kobe. Kobe also asked another question. An interesting question worded wise. What position will hold this year's MVP award? As I bring it back up on screen. What position will hold this year's MVP award? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think the quarterback position will come back into play for the MVP award. To be fair, both our first 2 seasons, the halfback has won the award. I think, though, that quarterback will take it this year, mainly because with all the intricacies around passing, I think guys are getting used to the passing interface a little bit more. I can see a quarterback taking it because we have a lot of good users with a lot of elite quarterbacks, and that makes for elite level numbers, which means for MVP discussion. I can see Lamar Jackson winning it with the Jets. I can see Russell Wilson winning it with the Broncos. I do believe I can see Tom Brady winning it with the Commanders. I mean, there's a couple of different candidates that come to mind right off the top of head that have changed teams or have come to new teams that definitely will make a play, or guys changing to the team. Definitely quarterback is one I think will be a watch going into the MVP race at the end of the season. Still early, though. I could eat my words, but I think week 3, the early prediction that's going to be probably wrong. I say quarterback's going to be it. All right, so, excuse me, next question from Chili. We got 2 questions from Chili, so this will be a 2-parter. Will there be a most improved, I guess I could leave it up on screen, shouldn't I, while I read it. Will there be an almost, I think it's supposed to be a most improved owner award at the end of season? Also, will there be sportsmanship awards as new additions? Well, excuse me once again. I will say that the Sportsman of the Year will be a standard award that we're going to do starting with season 2 last year and moving forward. I really like the idea. It was an idea that was given actually as an end of season feedback survey. But I do like the idea overall. I think it's good to reward those guys that don't have great seasons, especially if they are consistently at the bottom. Because the problem with being a guy being in a league that's got a bunch of good owners is, unfortunately, there are going to be some guys that are the doormats for those owners. And I speak as somebody who is usually the doormat for those owners. I think overall, I think it's good to reward those guys that may not be the best on the sticks with some kind of basically, hey, you know what, thanks for being a part of this league, even though I know you're not having success. I think it just rewards guys that kind of live by our motto, which is it's not about the W or the L, it's about the WFL. Guys that can consistently live by that motto, even if they go 0-17, are definitely guys that deserve some sort of reward for that. And I like that the Sportsman of the Year was something that can give them points to put towards players that, you know, these guys may not have anybody on the All-Pro team, may not have anybody in the MVP or Offensive Defensive Player of the Year races. But they can still get points by being a good dude and being good in chat and being just basically a welcome sight in the WFL, I think is the biggest thing. As far as most improved, I'm honestly not looking to add any more rewards. I feel like between incentive plans, between the awards we already do for the Associated Press, those different types of awards, I think we honestly have enough. But if enough people at the end of season survey for end of season 3 request it, then I am always open to it, because if you guys want it, we will try to make it happen, as long as it's not something that's too game breaking, I'll put it that way. But yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to add any more new fancy awards, especially for most improved. It's kind of hard to justify improvement. Like, for example, the Broncos could technically classify as most improved because last year they were a top 5 pick. went 2-14 or 2-15. This year, they already got more wins than they had all last year, but that's because they were CPU mostly last year, and now they have an owner. So what's most improved? Is it owner? Is it user? Or is it team? What goes into that? And that's something that, again, if enough feedback is provided that you guys want that, we'll try and make it happen, and we'll talk about how to construct that. But I think at this point, the Sportsman of the Year is definitely there. It will definitely stick out. It is part of the record book now. Studley won it last year. So I think that'll definitely stick. But as far as any new awards, unless a group of you guys request it, we're not looking to add any more new stuff to the offseason. I think the offseason's robust enough. So hopefully you guys see the same way. But if you don't, again, let us know, and we'll work to add stuff. And finally, last question of the podcast. Oh, and it's a loaded one too. Most fun thing about this so far about this cycle. I actually wrote down 2 answers to this question. The sarcastic one, which is, hey, it's very fun that we can finally do basic things in our franchise 4 months after release. Like, I don't know, have a draft, put in custom coaches. Hey, that's fun. And that's the sarcastic answer, and sadly, kind of true. Fun. See, you're asking me the fun part, and really, honestly, as far as the game itself, like playing against a user, I don't find that fun anymore. But I will say the gameplay, for the most part, is probably the most fun thing about this cycle. Which is something you would not have said over the last 8-9 Maddens, I would say personally. Gameplay has been abysmal for a long time, and it is now tolerable. Just because I'm sourpuss about it, because I'm already down to the point where, low as low can go. I still can see that and concede that there has been some improvement in gameplay for the better finally. Is it perfect? No, it's not even close. But it's gone from bad to slightly below average at best. And that's a remarkable improvement for this franchise, which is sad to say. But I think that's the most fun I can say. That's the most fun thing is the gameplay side of it. I think a close second would be the interactions in chat with guys. I've liked the vibe for the most part that we've had in chat between everybody that's in chat and active. That doesn't mean you have to be active all the time, but I'm just saying the people that are active in chat, it does make it a more fun experience to see guys active in chat and shooting the stuff back and forth. But the most fun thing I think for me is gameplay, just because it's improved to a point where it's tolerable. And you couldn't say that, for me anyway, I wouldn't say it's been tolerable since, Madden, maybe Madden 25. That's a long time ago. Maybe that's probably Madden 25. But that's right around the time that Rex kind of lost his mouthpiece capabilities as far as controlling the gameplay side of it. I think it was right around the Madden 13, Madden 25 era. Right whenever Connected Careers or whatever they called CFM at first. Right when that came into play, that's where the gameplay was at its peak post 2006. Probably Madden 06, Madden 05 was the best gameplay wise, but even that's rose-colored glasses. Nothing holds a candle to NFL 2K's gameplay. No Madden can hold a candle to NFL 2K's gameplay. Anyway, though, as far as that, most fun thing about this cycle, gameplay. Gameplay is tolerable for once, for the first time in almost a decade. And I can get behind that even if I am a sourpuss and a negative Nancy about just about everything else. I can at least say, yeah, gameplay's pretty solid. But that does it. That's all the questions I had for this week. Appreciate Kobe. Appreciate Chili. Appreciate just lost it. Waffles. Thank you. Appreciate those guys sending me some questions a little early. I announced that I was going to be recording the podcast a little early, so they sent in their questions this morning. I appreciate you guys contributing. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in and listening. Whether you're listening at the premiere, whether you're listening to the recording after the fact, I appreciate you listening. The WFL appreciates you listening. We hope you're entertained by this show. As always, let us know by throwing us a like. Get us a subscribe, leaving comments. Any feedback, good or bad, is appreciated. Until next Monday, hopefully live, folks, the corner is closed.